Hey guys, my name is Fit. Welcome to the channel. This will be episode 1 of the Road to 150k series. I have done the maths and I need $527.92 a day. I've just been funded with Top Step. You're watching this video. I had 5 accounts. That night I ended up blowing one of the accounts. I left one as a runner, which you'll see in episode 2. So I'm going to space out each session as an episode, just to have a bit of longevity, and yeah, it just enables me to be able to watch it back, and so that you're not watching an hour and a half long videos as well. So just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot. If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into episode 1 of the 150k challenge. Hey guys, how we doing? My name's Fit. Welcome to episode 1 of Road to 150k a year. Hopefully we do smash that goal, and each year it moves up in terms of what we're trying to get. Just trying to start slow and steady. I need to pull $527.92 a day for 260 working days of the year out of the 365. I'm Australian as well, so the Australian dollar is a lot weaker than the US dollar. I don't need to hit that 500 mark on my Top Step accounts, as they're US based. That'll probably be around 350 or so. I've also got 550k accounts funded now. They've all got varying balances. This one I've just got today and activated. We've got this one that was up around 400 yesterday. They're all varied, and the days of 200 plus span out, which is what I wanted, because that way, hopefully, now that I link them, if they're all having green days at once, payouts should be coming almost 2 to 3 times a week. The trade that I'm in right now, let's go through this. We've obviously had this massive expansion coming down, taking Wednesday and Tuesday's lows. I'll make these all on the right so I can see them no matter where I am on the chart. So we've got our key levels marked out, and usually what I do is start on the high time frame and work my way down and just see where we're at. We're on a massive downtrend, taking the quick short to go to either this hourly Sibi. There's a 15-minute Sibi up in here. There's another hourly Sibi all the way up here. We've obviously got gaps all the way from yesterday. So usually price will go to fill these. We have been overall, like on a weekly time frame, strongly bullish. Okay, this is interesting. I didn't note this. So we do have a weekly BISI right here, which we might push down and run for as well. So I'll just mark this out. Hi, Mom. How you doing? Yeah, that's good. I'll just label this weekly BISI level here. So weekly BISI. We've got this level right here that I'm interested in. We could definitely see a push down, continue this downward momentum, tap off this weekly BISI, and then continue back to all-time highs. That probably seems a bit more likely as opposed to this run up, but the only reason I am interested in a long right now is using Tom Hoogaard's scalping strategy. He talks a lot about, especially once you have a lot of down close candles. I got in a little bit late, to be fair. Ideally, entry should have been about here or here. But you have these down close candles. We've tried to go lower. Obviously, price is showing that we're not. We have this first green candle that closes above 50% of this candle. So that ideally should have been the entry. Just put your stops here and let this thing run. So I'm joining the party a little bit late, coming in all the way up here. If we zoom out to the hourly, we've been going down for quite some time with no real pullback. So we've obviously got this little spot in here. I'm happy if price wants to reject and we go lower. We've got this weekly level planned out. I'll label this box to, I think it's a 4-hour or daily, sorry. We've got this daily BISI in here. So I'll label this, and we'll go inside and send out the circle. So we've got this BISI. Technically it can run down to here as well, but with the weekly being all the way up here, it's unlikely. Worst we probably do is come retrace half of this, close here, and then push back up so we close above the weekly on a higher time frame. It's nice to see a bit of green here, back in here, respecting this 30-second fair value gap, and we'll just see how far this would like to go. So I tried this yesterday, Tom Hoogaard's scalping strategy of just waiting. He usually says do it on the 5-minute as well. So same principle on this candle. as we're above 50% after wicking a bunch here. And this is ideally marrying it with ICT, right? You have your total sweep or liquidity run here. We still close way above these levels. So buyers are pretty aggressive down here. You have your market structure shift above here. I think this was the move here, just this retracement. But this would have been a nice entry as well. Market structure shift and then get in on the first fair value gap to go longer. We've got these levels all up in here as we're going up. I think being so close to this fair value gap and now coming back to retest, we disrespect this 15. Got VWAP up here as well, which will act as a bit of resistance. But we've got this nice fair value gap up in here on the 5. So that's probably where I'm going to be, and it's linked to the hourly CB as well. So I'm going to take partials here. So my follower account, that would make sense. We're just going to take one off in here. I'm just looking for areas to partials. Ideally, the full TP will be up here across 5 accounts. It'll be a very green day. But again, I'm just trying to stick to my rule of 527.92. So if we get above here, we're looking like we're reaching and then we pull back, I'll just put my stops at 572. Doesn't matter, even if it's going to pull back and then bounce back up. I'm just working on not being greedy. Now I'll be up for the day and then I'll give away my profits, just chasing more and more. That already is an insane day. I could just go for 100 multiplied by the 5 accounts and there's my 527. So to top step, you need that $200 minimum to at least attribute to your green days. So 200 will be the absolute minimum. If we get up to, let's say, 300 and it starts pulling back, at 200 I'll just stop myself out. Depending on what the market's doing, if I see another opportunity to get back in, I'll probably get back in. But if it's just stagnating and we're stalling, then that's it for the day. And just be happy. It's by 5 accounts, it's $1,000. It's double what I need for the day to hit my 150K goal. So it's nice having these rules in place rather than just leaving it to random or how much I can squeeze or get out of the market. So what I'm noticing now, we get a nice bullish closer here. What I'm watching now is usually for retracements to add on size, I'd be looking to get it here on this fair value gap. But what I'm starting to notice is that price actually respects, because it's fractal, it will respect the lowest time frame as well. We've got this massive volume imbalance, not massive, it's a 15-second chart, but we've got this volume imbalance down here. So this is where I'd actually be wanting to add more. And because I'm below my entry, I always add a little bit more. So if I was above, because my buying price is going to be moved, I don't want to add more than half. But because it's below, I can add about half or just over. I've got 3 here. So as I was saying before, on the 5-minute, this was the entry point here, right? So hopefully we can dip into here and then close back above. I'm just watching the 5 to see if there's any more. All of these fair value gaps have been filled on the 5, as you can see here. On the lower time frame, there's probably still going to be some gaps. Let's have a look. So we got this 1-minute FEG in here, a tiny little gap in here which hasn't been filled, but that's pretty much it. We've got this key spot in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change that. I'm just going to make this 1 and I'm going to make this 2. So it's still the 3 orders that we want, but just allowing ourselves a little bit of room if you want to push lower. We've got equal lows here too, which are very susceptible to be ran on all time frames. So you're probably wanting to go for like a swing. So that should ideally be my stop. I just don't want to risk that much on the account. Just anywhere below sort of equal lows will be fine. Like a swing low ideally. So this is technically one. We got a higher low here and then a higher low here, and we got this swing. So that's going to be my protected stop on a smaller time frame. Another method I should be doing as well is looking at the higher time frames. This candle where we started to push up, we shouldn't really be coming anywhere near the bottom. If we are, more than likely we're going to be pushing lower. So we got a fair value gap just above here, so we're just going to give price a little bit of room in case we want to wick, take out these lows as well. It should be at the body here. I was saying 292 was too much before, but here we are. I'll probably put it, yeah, bottom of this 15-minute. And if we switch to the 5, there might be a better spot to put this. Let's come down and lift all this. Technically, this should actually be it here, but because we've got this 15-minute gap, I'm just going to let it sit. I think this is a good spot right here. So we're down to that 15 second that we were talking about before. Let's see if we can get above these highs here. And that's just going to have a bit more confidence in this long idea that we've got. If we can close near this 15-minute Sibi, more than likely we just run straight through, which is what we'd want to see. Got this gap in here, and what I've learned as well is just to take your partials a little bit earlier than what you're expecting price to go to. Just in case people are doing their transacting of buying and selling just a little bit before that point, and then you miss out. So at least this way there's a higher chance of me actually getting filled on that one. But let's just wait and see what we get here. We'll watch the 5-minute too. Seeing if we can close above here. So that's what I was saying. If we're still going up, we will respect this buy side inefficiency. But more than likely we're actually going to dip below to find the actual spot to reverse. Rather than entering here, having a stop here and already being in drawdown, better off just finding that lower time frame point. And as we marked out, literally right to this imbalance. We didn't fill all of it, but putting it a little bit above to make sure you get filled. It is what it is. Last 15-second candle here for the hour actually. So just check the hourly too. This is why I have all my time frames up here that I can just keep flicking through. Having my higher time frame here and then my lower time frame here. But yeah, nice closure right at here, technically above this Sibi. So just watching to see, I mean, we've got all of this run to come potentially back up to. And because we're overall bullish on the week and it's Friday as well, we've had this massive move Thursday, Tuesday, Monday. We had displacement to the downside. So Friday usually is just a recuperation of that. It's still very early here as well. It's 10 p.m. US time, 1 p.m. Australian time right now. So still got these settings, my levels to get back in. Just watching on a 15-second to see if there's anything else down here. Change to 32. Just trying to add confluence to that one. So even as I was saying, on the 1 minute, we saw that fair value gap in here.
Order
on the 30, I can see a tiny little gap in here. This is actually going to be where I add this extra entry. The risk is getting a bit heavy right now. More than likely, this is just sellers trying to get back in. We've had a wick, and then we've bounced up to above 50% of this candle for the closure. This should be an indication that we do push up for at least a little while. Might have to hold this trade for a while. I won't make you sit through all that. Here we go. We hit that 1 minute FEG that we're talking about. Now on the 30-second, we have this tiny little gap in here.
Order filled.
Alright, and there we go. See if we respect this or floor through. So we'd be wanting to see, because we came down pretty steep, we'd want to see a steep move back to the upside. I don't like how steep we came down, so more than likely we might actually just run. Just figuring out where we're going to push down into. We got this 15-minute gap in here as well. But for now, looking at these micro time frames is super helpful, because look at that respection right here on here. Again, we could come down and floor. We still have this 15-minute, and the higher time frame is always more important than the lower time frame. That's what I learned from my mentor, Carl, JCap. Talks about that a lot, and that has definitely helped my trading. Sometimes you get sucked in on the lower time frames, like in here too much. And this big move, it might be like, oh, we're continuing down, but on the higher time frame, we've still got this gap that we want to try fill before we can continue. It looks like for now, we're respecting the 30. If we can invert this fair value gap and get above, be a pretty good indication. So it's nice that we've been able to add a few more lots as well. Again, I'm trying myself, this is something that I'm learning, is to not focus on this price at all. Yeah, try not to look at the numbers too much and get sucked in there. Yeah, again on the 5 minute, all of this is filled. We'll see where we close here though, because again the same thing works on the inverse in the same way that we got in here. And this is what I'm trying to learn as well. Another tip is, like, once you get into a trade, you're invested in that trade. If you're going long, you're invested in the idea of price moving higher. If you're going short, you're invested in the idea of price going lower. And I think it's really important when you're in a trade to still have an objective mind, because that's when you'll hold on to your losers for way too long. That hope comes in as, no, I'm invested, I want it to go this area, because then obviously I get money. But But I think it's important that still just be an observer. Even if you're in the trade, just observe where price is going and what it's doing. Nice price action that we want to see on the 5 minute. We went right to that 30-second gap and bounced right off. Great entry point in here. And it was nice that we took the one a little bit higher and then we put 2 lots down here. So we've inverted this fair value gap. Here's another entry. This is what I'm trying to do more with pyramiding and scaling. You can build up a pretty big position all within the same area. If price is still confirming with you what it wants to do, you're still going in the direction, but you're just adding more size. And only adding when you're in profit as well, which is what Tom Hoogaard talks about. So I know I've done that down here, which I shouldn't have done, but I've used limit orders for these ones. Again, it doesn't excuse it. It's probably a habit that I shouldn't do. I should be waiting for price to take these highs, have this market structure shift, and then get in on a pullback. But then again, the way that I see it is that nothing's guaranteed. So even if we do get that, and it's my setup and it's what I look for, there's nothing stopping price just absolutely flooring and going the other way too. So yeah, I guess it's just having a bit more of a hope mindset. And when I was trading yesterday, we saw something very similar to this. I took the short that was running down. I'll see if I can actually find it during yesterday's session. So it was around this time yesterday. Yeah, so here we go. So this is actually, if I put my executions on, there's going to be a lot of executions though. Let me see. It's not showing any of my previous executions. Maybe on this chart? No, I don't think it's showing yesterday's. Okay. That's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So it was about this time yesterday, about 10 o'clock. Overall, we were bearish on the day. I'm pretty sure we got in around here, or maybe it was this one. As soon as we see this wicks above, wicks in the opposite direction, and then the closure 50% below the last bullish candle, short, and just put your stops here. So we ran this down. I'm pretty sure I got out early though, because I was a bit nervous and fearful with profits. But then we had this move in the reverse. This is what I got caught offside with. I actually tried shorting this a few times, but we see the pattern here. We've wicked and we have this big bullish closure on the 5 minute, more than 50%. It completely eclipses this. So this is your order block right here. That's your entry and stops here. Let it run. Obviously you're taking your partials after you take liquidity. You got civvies all in here as well. But if you just held and leave a runner going from all the way down here to here, is a crazy trade. So again, not trying to trade yesterday's chart. I think that's another thing that I'm really trying to work on. Leave yesterday and yesterday. It's a completely different day, completely different market, new conditions. But ideally it's the same mindset. So if we zoom down to the 15, let's see if we're just retracing to fill in these gaps. If you're on the 5 minute, you've had this big reaction, it looks like we're going to push up, and then price comes down again. This is what can instill that sort of fear to be like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. But if you go down to really small time frames, you can see that we're probably just coming through inefficiencies. And because price is fractal, whatever it's doing on the 5, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, it's doing on the micro time frames as well, which is huge. This is looking nice. We've got low resistance liquidity all through here, like your retail trend line down here. Expecting some resistance around this zone, but if we can pop high, then likely we'll take all these highs. There's a swing high as well, so if we can take this one, it would indicate a market structure shift to the upside. So I'll just label this market structure shift, and we'll just wait and see. So we go back to the higher time frames. I don't like being on the 15-second too long. It's good to see where you want to add more entries, but in terms of watching a chart, it will stress you out because you're seeing these rapid moves. But if we go back to the 5 and we take this back to the 15, this is ideally what we want to see. I don't like that we didn't come down into this gap. It does give a bit of susceptibility to keep coming down, but if we can push pretty strongly on this 15-minute close here, it would be what we want to see. So again, I'm not anticipating this to be the crazy move back to the upside. I think if we got down to the weekly BISI down here, that would incline me to maybe let this thing run all the way back to the equal highs. But because we still have so much below, we've got Asian session low still down here as well. We haven't hit midnight yet. We could just be generating liquidity in here as well. So we could just take this high and then come back down and then just be ranging. Let's see how we go here. Looking to see if we can take this on the 1 minute. We're going so low on the lower time frames. I didn't even see this high to the left of us. So this would be the market structure shift. We're taking out the liquidity, which is a good sign, but we now need to close. I'm not worried until this thing closes. We push up and then we're straight back down. This is. So we'll wait for the closure. If we can close above here, it's going to be a good indication that we push higher. We've got VWAP just sitting above us here, so expecting a bit of resistance once we hit here. If we hit VWAP, I'll move my stops to break even. Again, we still have this 15-minute gap, which price can come back down into. But especially after this momentum, more than likely if we're coming down, it's probably going to continue lower. So protect ourselves. We'll just hit VWAP right now. So we'll do what we said we were going to do, almost at the 200 for the day. And so this is the benefit of pyramiding in. We would have had to be way up here before we hit the 200 on the initial 5 contracts. So again, because we've got 9 now, if we just halve the 5, or halve this amount is what we'd have if we had 5. So let's say like $90 so far. It's about halfway through, whereas now we've doubled it essentially. So this is why I like pyramiding. You don't need price to run as high or low as you're expecting to still take your profit and be done for the day. So again, we're just going to watch and wait to see if we can get to that 527. I've got it written up on my trading plan up there, which is why I'm looking. So let's just see what we can get. All right, nice push up. We're at the 200 mark, so essentially I could just close the trades here, be done for the day and be up $1,000. That's another green day for the accounts. Good news when the trade seems to work out like this. We got the 15-minute closure right above here, so we got all these spots where price can continue to run. We got stops at break even now as well. I'll just double check the lower time frames once again, make sure there's no fair value gaps here. Okay, we do have one here, but again, being so low, chances are if we're coming to these, we might push lower. This isn't really a A+ trade because we're outside of the kill zone. We're going against the trend. A bunch of things that don't make it very high probability. I'm not too stressed, but just seeing this reaction and seeing what we saw yesterday as well, with all these civvies up above, price could essentially run all the way up here. We take out this area that we're at. And because it's Friday, I'm just seeing if we have any news. Should have checked this beforehand. Okay, so we got GDP news for the Great British Pound coming out at 5, and then we've got 11:30 retail sales news. Cool. So we got gaps in here. We'll just look on a bit of a higher time frame. We can get rid of this market structure shift. We have closed above now. We've taken out this liquidity to the downside and then push with displacement. So this is essentially your power 3 in here, taking it out, displacement to the upside, waiting for a pullback. And then there's more positions to add in here. I'm probably not, just because now we're above our entry and it's only a little bit above, and there's all this downside as well. Ideally, we'd just like to see a reaction. If we can push past this market structure shift, then I'll probably look to pyramid. I'm just going to move my TP probably a little bit higher. This is again Tom Hoogaard's work in here. Just take it above this higher for liquidity. Tom Hoogaard's work of just not really setting TPs. Like if you are going to set one as high as you can, because you never know. This could genuinely be the start of the full reversal back to all-time highs. And so you cap yourself at this take profit here when essentially price could run all the way up here. The chances of it doing that on a Friday after ranging so much throughout the week isn't very likely, especially because we do have this weekly BISI right here. So I'm not holding my breath for that at all. More than likely we actually plummet lower, to be fair. So approaching this 3-minute BISI right here, right now. We'll just check the 15-minute as well, that line that we've got marked out. This is why I like just labeling everything, because you can see where we're at. We do close above here, so I can get rid of this. We're disrespected. We're at this 3-minute level now. More than likely we've got fair value gaps below this as well. Nice reaction off this level too. We've got a 1 minute in here too. Looks like we've just narrowly missed. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back try fill this. Yeah, just watch the 30. 30 looks alright, and then watch the 15, of course. Still got this nice big gap in here. Got gaps below it as well, so ideally we just hold here and then bounce and move up. Again, with the market structure shift, it's highly likely, but it could just rip, and this could be the start of the downward move too. Happy where stops are. We've done everything that we should, and it might just be a break-even trade, which sucks, but hey, it's better than losing. Nice reaction off this 1 minute here. Just gonna wait to see if we can take these highs. Again, VWAP, like that's why you look at all these levels to indicate when to move stops. You're just reacting to price rather than setting out for things. Pretty deep retracement here. Just watch what we get. If we can flip bullish on this candle, I'm gonna add one more. If we close bearish, then I'll just leave it. We're probably gonna run for the stops here. Like realistically, my stops should be probably like about here, just to give the trade a little bit of room to breathe. But again, there's no point giving it away. What we can do is, if that's the case, we just wait for price to come down into here or here, see that reaction, and then get back in. We haven't lost anything. Whereas you run the risk of putting your stops here and then price actually melting on you, and you're going, oh, why didn't I just leave it at break even? So for that psychological reason, it's not worth for me. I can always get back in. So just wait and see here. Watch the minute again. See if we close bullish here. If we respect this, it's a good indication we might continue lower for a bit. But just waiting until this closes has been a game changer for me. Just take that extra 2 seconds or whatever it is. Alright, now we're in. Cool. And I'm just going to put my stop at these lows here. Wouldn't want to see us come back to test this. Even though we've got these gaps down here, but now our entry is higher. So we can't afford to have our stops there. But looks like we're holding, especially on the 1 minute. This is what you want to see. The bodies don't come below that fair value gap. And let's see if we can take this high and keep this push up. And so now I'm just going to pick points for taking partials, because this is something that I don't do, and it wrecks me, and that's how I get emotional and I revenge trade and I blow my accounts. I'll be up profit, it'll come down, seeing yourself being up $500-600 and you're walking away with zero. Just that loss aversion kicks in. And then you start being mad at the market, and you start being mad at yourself. Why didn't I just take profit? Hindsight's everything. If you had taken profits and it kept on exploding and you missed out on a bunch of profit, then you're going to be sitting there going, oh, but I should have held on and I shouldn't have taken partials. So I don't know. I'm just trying to recognize that in trading, you just have to be grateful. At every circumstance, every situation, just be grateful. The fact that you got an account, the fact that you got breath in your lungs, the fact that I've got 5 funded accounts. Even if they all blow today, you got 5 funded accounts. That's something to be happy on. So again, even if this comes down and takes me out and we're at zero, hey, we'll be up $24. Well, minus the $3.70, about $20. And that's $20 that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I've just been sitting here talking to you guys for half an hour. Perspective really does help, I think, especially for the mental side of things when it comes to trading. It's a pretty cutthroat thing to do, and it will definitely grow you a lot as an individual. What I'm going to do now, because the trade's in, my levels are all set, I don't really need to do too much now. This is the part where trading can get on autopilot. Again, if we can take this high, that's going to give me a lot more confidence. But we're just waiting, we're ranging. We've got civvies and inefficiencies in here that we're probably trying to contest on the one. Once I've got these levels, and especially once my stop is at break even, I've found that I can be so fixated on the charts and watching. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. Me sitting here and watching it isn't going to make it go up or down. What I've started doing is reading a bit more. Currently reading this book, Pride, Identity, and the Worship of Self. It's a Christian-based book, but it just basically talks about, because I recognize in myself that the main reason I don't take partials, or the main reason I don't do these things that I know I should be doing, is pride. I don't think it at the time. I'm not there, I don't need a partial because I'm a G, and that's not my mindset. But I think there's a part of me that just has this, identity in doing well in the markets, which I don't think is inherently a bad thing. Then when it gets to a point where if that identity isn't true, then all of a sudden I flip out and I'm blowing accounts and I'm pissy at my friends and family. I think that's where it goes to that level where it's just too much. So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool thing, which I'd encourage everyone to do with your trading as well. Recognize what's your C game. What is holding you back from pushing forward? For everyone, it's different at different phases. Maybe you're fearing tapping the button to get in, and recognize why that is and what you can do to fix that. Or maybe you're holding on for too long, or maybe you're just too emotional and need to breathe and meditate. Figure out what is going wrong and tackle that. And it will take time. These 550k accounts took time and lots of blown challenges. If we go through all of them, you can probably see even here now. There's 2 here, but there's a bunch. I've got Alpha Futures as well that I've blown. I've got Take Profit Trader that I've blown. I've got Funding Pips that I've blown, FTMO, like all of these things. But with every single blown account, as long as you're taking something away from that and growing and recognizing what you need to work on, yeah, world's your oyster. Just give it time. I'm going to let this trade. It looks like we're pushing back up for this high. I'm going to just let the trade do what it needs to do. I'm going to read for a bit, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, we are back. There's a tiny little imbalance in here. I don't like how steeply we've moved down. But yeah, 21 bucks, buy 5 accounts, it's $100. Can't complain. Ideally, we push back to come here and then we go up. I don't mind taking a short now. This is a short model now. We've taken the highs and then we potentially have room to push, especially to this box here. So I'm just going to wait to see that confirmation on the 5. We got our wicks, and then if this candle closes below 50%, that's our entry. We put our stops here. Because we're with the momentum now as well, I'm happy to go a bit heavier on the size. I'm happy to go 10 lots. And just got stops at this swing high here. So looking for a fill just in here. We could potentially keep on ripping as we've got that weekly level as well. So this is a bit more favorable. We've got the momentum backing us here. So happy to increase the risk. Just gonna wait for the lower time frames again to have our entry. How much longer on this 5? We got a minute to go. Cool, so this is filled on the 1. This would be our entry right here. We could break it down on the lower time frames for a bit more of a pinpoint entry. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we got this up in here. And so just keep bringing it up on the lower time frames. So had our market structure shift really. We have just wicked, to be fair, but I think because we put in a double top, we've taken out this and closed well below. This is enough for me to run short, obviously with the momentum as well. EMA, I'll probably delete the EMA, the SMA, sorry. I don't know how to delete this. So this 30-second gap, I think we're at the 1 minute or so now, probably at the 3-minute one, yep. Let's see what close. Ooh, interesting. We still might be pushing higher actually. Just the way this 5 minutes closed right now. We'll watch and see what reaction we get here at this 30-second. We'll watch the 15 just to make sure there's no... Yep, there we go. So we got an imbalance right here. See if we blast through or whether we respect it. Looks like we pushed down a little bit. We do technically have a volume imbalance up here as well. A little bit annoying that we got stopped out here. Again, what I was just saying before about those feelings and emotions, like, I'm a bit bummed. Now it's running, so if we just had our trade in, but that's alright. It happens. Looking for 50% of this week as well, so I'm just watching for all these levels where price might do something. The fact that we had this FEG and we came back down again, it's usually a sign of weakness to continue this uptrend. Mixed with this as well. This sort of liquidity grab, but we'll see if we can take this high and keep moving higher, or whether we just turn and go backwards from here. So we can get a close under here on the 15-second. Yeah, it's 10 short, and it's a way better entry for us up here as well. Okay.
Order
nice.
filled.
So I'm putting my stops at this swing high. We're going to target 50% of this 15-minute gap, and just for a quick scalp, and that will probably do me for today. So that'll be about 380 on all the 5 accounts, about 1.5 for the day, and that's more than plenty of that 500 that I need. And then that's it. Just shut the charts for the day. If I want to trade London or US, then I'll probably get combines. I've already got the max for Top Step, so I might look at Alpha Futures again. I had a 150k account, got it up to 162,000. Requested a payout for 7.5 grand, and they denied it and breached my account because I traded 2 minutes around the news. Was working on that for 2 months. Missed like 2 payout cycles and you gotta wait 14 days. I'd be so close and then I'd have to wait another 14 days. Finally hit it today and they're like, yeah, sorry, we're not paying you and your account's closed. Huge rip. Lesson learnt though, I'm probably just gonna go for the advanced plan rather than the standard. It's the exact same. You can trade news, you can request a high profit split as well. I think it's 90% from the first payout request. It's pretty good. Whereas the standard, it's 70, you have to trade around news and consistency rule as well. It's pretty expensive. Like I was comparing the two today, and I think Alpha Futures for 150 is like 416 US a month. Whereas the 150k account on Top Step, I believe, is like 150 US. Let's see how our short idea is going. There's enough reason to try and go short here. We've had bullish momentum for a while. We want to sell at the high and buy at the lows. This high being protected as well. We didn't run it and we had displacement down here again. There's enough reason to stick with it, but it's not looking too likely. We're respecting and holding these 1 minute levels nicely. We need to see a move lower and a close. So this is what I was saying before. We wicked this liquidity, but we didn't close. So it's probably just to take people out and potentially continue going higher. Just wait and see here. Close to our stop. So yeah, again, this probably wasn't the candle used. Even though we had these wicks and we did take out liquidity here, because we didn't close strongly bearish, we've just come right back up. I'm going to get out of the trade here.
Order filled.
More than likely we're going to run for those highs. So now I had the instinct to take a revenge trade and pump it to the upside, but it's alright, especially when things like that happen. Just take a breather and figure out. This was definitely a false signal, and if we had closed down here, should have taken the short, put stops here, but the fact that we've eaten all of that up and then pushed back isn't ideal. So we got an entry here if we did want to, being so close now to these highs and with room to go, we could get back in on the trade. Just waiting to see if there's a better entry. Trying to be patient. So we do have this 1 minute gap down in here. I don't think we get all the way down there. I'm looking for something a bit more midpoint on the lower time frames. It's a bit choppy because there isn't much volume right now. This is a decent entry. We've also got these gaps down here. Probably wait for something like this. This isn't a bad spot. I wouldn't go full size here. There we go. That's probably where I wanted to get in anyway. Just watching. We've got that 1 minute level which we marked out here. I'll put a box on this. 1 minute FEG. Stops in a great spot right here. I really wouldn't want to see price coming all the way down here. I think we marked this level out right on a 30-second when we were down here. This was that gap that was just below the stops. Based on this, and this is just what I'm learning as well on the fly with you guys, I'm going to recognize where these FEG pockets are and just moving stops slightly below. Even if I'm negative and it runs away from me, it is what it is. I still think we made the right call putting it to break even here. That short was definitely a bit risky. This is just why I like scalping. You can get in and out in these times, and we're not really in the time zone. So usually if we're in the kill zones that ICC talks about, we're going to be following the daily trend. So if we're down on the day, usually during the kill zones, so once we hit 2 a.m. for London session, is usually when we'll start seeing the move go where we're wanting it to go. Because we're lower, I am still going to partial, but I'm just going to take it very light. We've got 2 contracts, 2 micros. We'll enter if we can get to 50% of this box. I'm just going to have the discipline to wait. See if we can tap, because it could come all the way down here and fill this, right? But if we get a bullish closure, ideally again above 50% of this candle, and it's fractal, right? So it doesn't matter on a 30-second, on a 1 minute, 5 minute. If we can get that closed, then we shouldn't break below this low. If we close strong, this isn't strong enough for me. We're not at 50%. Just holding out, waiting to see if we can get down in here. If we do see that push up to here in the last 15, that's our entry. Alright, cool.
Order
So
filled.
50% as we were talking about. And if we get another strong move again, then we can come back up to around here. That's where we add on. So we've obviously got this volume imbalance as well on 30, which lines with the 1 minute. So we can push up here over 50% of this wick, then we're back in. Still just a little bit shy, so I'll hold off for now. So ideally it should be this candle, because this was the start of the downward move and we haven't come back above this. So again, like we've got these wicks higher, we close 50% below this, and we push lower. We haven't taken this high. So the strategy is really simple and easy to spot, especially if it's mixed with wicks going the other direction as well. It's the first thing you'd want to see, especially if we come down here, tap the bottom of this box, this volume imbalance, and then we trico lower a little bit more, we wick. So if we get a nice wick here on this candle, and we close back inside this box, again this is on a 1 minute, so it doesn't really impact on the 30-second. So we'll just check. Okay, so we invert it on the 1, which isn't ideal,
Order filled.
and we run for the lows. 2 L's, so I'm going to take my hands off the chart now. I'm not worried about that at all. The original idea of going short still held true. If I had kept my stops here, we probably would have still been okay. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. We got these wicks. This actually is our short entry, and we could target down here, but I'm not going to risk it. And we're just going to wait for the London session. So thanks for joining me. This was a Asia session scalp. We were up our 200, which does like to look at, but again, just having that abundance mindset that there's always going to be another trade. We got London session coming up in a few hours. We'll just take it as it comes, and we'll see you in a bit. Peace.